The chocolate chip cookie. The chocolate chip cookie was born by accident in 1938, inside a small inn in Whitman, Massachusetts. Ruth Wakefield was baking a batch of butter cookies when she broke a chocolate bar into pieces and stirred them in, expecting the chocolate to melt and spread evenly through the dough. It did not. Instead, the pieces stayed intact, and what came out of the oven was something no one had ever tasted before. Wakefield sold the recipe to Nestle in exchange for a lifetime supply of chocolate. Today, the chocolate chip cookie is the most baked cookie in the United States, and the idea of folding solid pieces of something into soft dough became a technique that changed baking around the world. Buffalo wings. Buffalo wings were invented in 1964 at a family-owned bar called the Anchor Bar in Buffalo, New York. Teresa Bellissimo had a delivery of chicken wings arrive by mistake. Wings were considered the least valuable part of the chicken at the time, usually tossed into stock or thrown away. Rather than waste them, she deep-fried the wings until crispy and coated them in a mixture of hot sauce and butter. She served them with celery and blue cheese dressing on the side. The dish was meant for a small group of her son's friends late one night. Within years, it had spread to every sports bar in America, and the buffalo wing eventually became one of the most consumed snacks during major sporting events in the country. Boston cream pie. Boston cream pie is not actually a pie. It is a cake, and it was created in 1856 by a French chef named M. Sanzian at the Parker House Hotel in Boston. Sanzian layered 2 rounds of sponge cake with a thick vanilla custard filling, then poured a smooth chocolate glaze over the top. The dessert was inspired by older American pudding cakes, but his version was distinctly richer and more refined. It became so tied to the city that Massachusetts officially declared it the state dessert in 1996. The name pie stuck because, in the 19th century, pies and cakes were often baked in the same type of pan and the terms were used loosely. 04. Cream cheese. Cream cheese was created in 1872 in upstate New York by a dairyman named William Lawrence. He was attempting to make a softer French cheese called Neuchâtel, which has a mild flavor and a light texture. During the process, he accidentally added more cream than the recipe called for, and the result was something richer, denser, and far more spreadable than anything currently on the market. He wrapped it in foil and sold it locally. By 1880, it was being distributed under the name Philadelphia cream cheese, a brand name chosen because Philadelphia had a reputation at the time for producing high-quality dairy products, even though the cheese itself was made entirely in New York. Tater Tots. Tater Tots were invented in 1953 by 2 brothers, F. Nephi Grigg and Golden Grigg, who ran a potato company called Ore-Ida in Ontario, Oregon. The company was processing large amounts of potatoes and was left with enormous piles of shredded potato scraps after cutting French fries. Rather than discard them, the brothers experimented with mixing the scraps with flour, salt, and seasoning, pressing them into small cylinders and deep-frying them. The result was a crispy, bite-sized potato snack unlike anything in stores at the time. They were sold nationally and became one of the most popular frozen foods in American supermarket history. The name itself is a simple combination of the words potato and tot. 06. The hamburger. The hamburger as the world knows it today, a seasoned beef patty served between 2 soft buns with toppings and condiments, was shaped and popularized in the United States. While ground beef dishes existed in Europe centuries earlier, it was American cooks who put the meat in a bun and made it a handheld meal. A Texas cook named Fletcher Davis is widely credited with selling one of the earliest versions at a lunch counter in Athens, Texas, in the 1880s. He later brought the sandwich to the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair, where millions of visitors encountered it. From there it spread rapidly, and within decades it became the defining symbol of American food culture worldwide. Key lime pie. Key lime pie originated in the Florida Keys sometime in the late 1800s, long before the region had reliable access to fresh milk or modern refrigeration. Local sponge fishermen and their families made the pie using 3 ingredients that could survive the heat without spoiling: key limes, sweetened condensed milk, and egg yolks. The filling sets on its own through a chemical reaction between the acidic lime juice and the condensed milk, which means it required no baking originally. The specific key lime, a smaller and more aromatic variety than the common Persian lime, grows naturally in southern Florida and gives the pie its distinctly sharp, floral flavor. The state of Florida made it the official state pie in 2006. 08. The TV dinner. The TV dinner was introduced in 1953 by the Swanson Food Company, and it came about because of a logistical mistake. After Thanksgiving that year, Swanson was left with 520,000 pounds of unsold frozen turkey, and no way to move it before it spoiled. A salesman named Jerry Thomas proposed packaging the turkey into divided aluminum trays alongside vegetables, designing them to be heated in the oven and eaten in front of the television. Swanson sold 10 million of them in the first year alone. The product permanently changed how Americans thought about mealtime, making it acceptable and even convenient to eat alone in front of a screen. The aluminum tray was eventually replaced by plastic, and the microwave made the process even faster. The California roll. The California roll was created in Los Angeles in the 1960s, most likely by a Japanese chef named Ichiro Mashita, who was working at a restaurant called Tokyo Kaikan. Traditional sushi used raw tuna as a central ingredient, but Mashita found that American customers were reluctant to eat raw fish. He replaced the tuna with avocado, which has a similarly rich and buttery texture, and added imitation crab and cucumber. He also reversed the construction, placing the rice on the outside of the seaweed rather than the inside, which made the roll less intimidating visually. The California roll became the entry point through which millions of Americans first tried sushi, and it opened the door for Japanese cuisine to expand dramatically across the country. 10. Chicago Deep Dish Pizza. Chicago Deep Dish Pizza was created in 1943 at a restaurant called Pizzeria Uno, founded by Ike Sewell and Rick Ricardo in the city's River North neighborhood. Sewell wanted to create a pizza that functioned as a full, satisfying meal rather than a thin snack. The result was built upside down compared to traditional pizza. Cheese goes directly onto the dough first, then the toppings with chunky tomato sauce poured over everything last. The crust is pressed up the sides of a deep round pan, creating walls that hold a thick filling together. It takes significantly longer to bake than a conventional pizza, sometimes up to 45 minutes. Chicago deep dish became one of the most recognized regional foods in America, and Pizzeria Uno eventually expanded into a national chain.